This is Beachy Island. The 3 graves you see there belong to the crew of an expedition led by Sir John Franklin back in 1845. And just behind me there is the legendary Russian icebreaker, the Captain Kolebnikov. This has been my home for the last 2 weeks. The day before this, I stood on the deck of that ship and stared down a polar bear. And the day before that, I rode shotgun as a helicopter took us on a glacier trench run. This is the Canadian High Arctic. Now, let me back up a bit. In August of 2016, Norman Chan and I were chosen by Commander Chris Hadfield and his son Evan Hadfield to travel for 18 days with 8 other artists, photographers, writers, musicians on an expedition they called the Generator Arctic. The goal for us, simply enough, was to create, to offer our perspectives on this experience through our art, and give our audience a chance to see a side of the world rarely visited. Norman and I represented Tested.com. We shot and produced a number of segments over the course of this trip, but this film you're watching here, this is the journey. This is the rest of that footage that we shot over those 18 days, laid out, narrated by me, to bring you along with us on the full Generator Arctic expedition as we experienced it. We start our story here flying from our home in San Francisco to Ottawa, Canada to Kangerlussuaq, Greenland, and there we hop on board the Kolebnikov. On the Kolebnikov, we're given our muck boots, our waterproof coats, the nickel tour, and off we sail to begin our first leg of the trip up the coastal towns of Western Greenland. Here we pop in and out of a series of quiet fishing villages cradled by ice fjords as we weave through the occasional packs of Greenlandic sled dogs. Now, there's something missing. Anyone who's ever been a passenger on a ship with a schedule like this will know the hurdles of these kind of visits. You're trying to soak in an entire culture within only a matter of hours, and that's near impossible. There is an adventure to be had here in Greenland. Hiking the polar route, fly fishing Arctic char, photographing the northern lights, but unfortunately this wasn't the trip. We had 18 days and we had to keep moving. Now, when we want to get to shore to explore, or maybe get through some of the more narrow passages of water, we would take Zodiacs. Now, Zodiacs are rigid inflatable boats that were capable of carrying a dozen or so passengers and small crates of equipment. It was also a way for us to get up close to floating icebergs, humpback whales, and while not quite as dramatic as the Russian icebreakers, the Zodiacs would occasionally break ice. The Zodiacs also allowed for wet landings as we would beach ourselves along the shore of uninhabited areas of Greenland to explore glacial streams, local wildlife, and rock formations. The other mode of transportation was perhaps my favorite. I've never flown in a helicopter before this trip, but if you want to soar over the Arctic mountains or put yourself on top of an ice fjord, this was the way to go. One of our last Greenlandic stops on this trip was an archaeological site called Kalikitsak. Famous for the discovery of 8 mummified bodies laid to rest under sheets of rock and kept preserved through sub-zero temperatures, we took a light hike through this peaceful terrain. For me, this time was used as a sort of mental reset, a brief moment to meditate on the experience so far and free the mind for what's yet to come. From here on out, we would be surrounded by snow and ice, traveling as high north as 81 degrees with a 24-hour sun that just kind of drunkenly sway above us, confusing our body's internal clock. As the temperature dropped rapidly and the geographical landscape of the ocean's surface introduced large sheets of ice to block our current course, the Russian icebreaker would do its job. "24,000 horses power this ship that's capable of traveling through both polar regions without any challenge." Now, the path preferred is always going to be open water, but sometimes there was no way around it. We had to get through ice. The ship itself would gently tremble as the bow would climb on top of a sheet of ice, then crush down, creating cracks and splits that would allow us to navigate through our current course. After a few friendly shots of vodka with the Russian crew, we got access to the engine room and got a tour of the machinery, the 80s era technology that still kept this thing at a purr with tight maintenance and a solid crew. There wasn't anything on the Arctic Ocean that was going to stop this ship. Well, almost anything. We continued on. A couple helicopter rides a day, the occasional sights to see from the deck. During the evenings, we would gather in the bar, listen to music. Occasionally, I'd jack my camera into the TV and preview some of the day's footage. Now, it turns out, I shot a lot of slow-motion helicopters taking off and landing. As mesmerizing as it was to end the day staring at this footage with a glass of wine, the actual helicopter pilots were really quite pleased to see their flying filmed in such a way, both outside the heli and from in. I can't remember much of our conversation that night, but I do know it ended with the helicopter pilots pulling us to the side and saying, "Hey, if you want, we can get you up in the sky with the doors taken off." The last few excursions were among my favorite. Pure desolation. Powdery snow, silence, the bright Arctic summer sun. At Tanqueray Fjord, a small group of us hiked 3 hours up Mount Timea. I know this looks miserable, but believe me, this was one of the most pleasant hikes I've been on in a long time. The weather cleared up at the peak just as we came across a small group of Arctic hare. Coming back down, we had just missed a pack of Arctic wolves. We returned to a surprise barbecue on the deck of the ship as we shared stories with the rest of the generator crew over ribs and beer. It was kind of a perfect day.
In the middle of the Arctic. I'm gonna get some Arctic meat sweats. It's amazing. Staff is out there. They made ribs, steak.
And that brings us back here to Beachy Island, the last stop on the trip. In 12 short hours, we'll be bussed over to the Resolute Bay Airport, where our electronics will wake up after an 18-day nap as Wi-Fi networks pop up in the notifications bar. The floodgates of emails and messages will open and take the bulk of our attention as we fly back to Ottawa. Now, looking back on it, I can't recall what a single one of those messages or emails were about back on Resolute. But that afternoon on Beachy Island, I could tell you exactly what I was doing, what I was thinking, and everything that I was feeling.
And just like to take this time to thank everyone for coming on this voyage. An absolute pleasure to have you on board the Klepnikov, and we hope to see you once again.
Commander Hadfield said something on the trip that kind of stuck with me. I'm paraphrasing here, but these unique experiences that some of us are fortunate enough to be a part of are about much more than just checking off some box in the bucket list. It's our responsibility and honor in some ways to let these experiences and these moments change us, and to take that and channel it in a way so that we can share it with others who may not be able to have this kind of opportunity. As a filmmaker, I use the medium to achieve some sense of that, to share something about myself and about an experience in hopes that I can connect with someone on some sort of meaningful level, and through that connection, make the world a little bit smaller and just a little bit easier to comprehend. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, the Generator crew has been pushing out some amazing material from this trip. Photography, vlogs, music. This was an inspiring group of people to be around in one of the most amazing places I've ever had the honor to travel to, despite the freezing temperature.
You'll need to shout. Go, Joey! Woohoo!
I waited and wondered if the dream would return. What I saw through that porthole is tattooed and burned on the shore where we landed. 3 graves by the sea, in the loneliest place you ever did see. So I sing the verses, you sing the chorus, with 24,000 old Russian horses. We crush through the ice in the bright summer night on the Captain Kalebnikov. This is the life.